everyone. I'm Jake Doherty from JD Entertainment, and here I am with Diego Osorio, who made Fang and Fang Encounter, and he's from Osorio Film Productions. Diego, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I want to ask you, where did the Fang series, miniseries, like, how did you think of it? Did you always want to create like a horror vampire aspect to it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a big horror guy, right? It's like my
Mm,
thing, and you can make horror movies for pretty cheap, compared
mm,
to like sci-fi or whatever.
mm-hmm,
Basically, what happened was in 2022, I graduated, got my associate's degree. Later that year, I went to Days of the Dead convention. Long story short, I met Derek Brashian, a trader, and then next January, 2023, I helped out on a short film called Spin the Bottle,
mm,
part of an anthology film. And I think there I just got kind of inspired. I was like, man, I kind of want to do my own thing. I want to do something. I graduated. I want to make my own thing. And there I met a whole bunch of people. I met Kirk Larson. Well, actually, I met him at the convention, technically, but he was helping out on Spin the Bottle as well. I met Kirk.
mm-hmm.
He helped out on my film, Fang, and he did a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes. And yeah, I mean, basically, what the whole vampire thing came to be was like you can buy fangs pretty cheap
Yeah,
online and stuff, and compared to like if you did let's say like Creature from the Black Lagoon or something, you got to get like a
yeah,
whole suit, or
yeah.
if you did like Wolfman, you got to buy all like the fur and all the
Mm-hmm.
makeup and stuff. And when it comes to vampires, it's pretty cheap. It's just kind of blood and fangs. Now, you can go more crazy with it with different looks,
Mm-hmm.
Nosferatu style, or you
Yeah.
can kind of go for a more Edward Cullen kind of look. So that's kind of where that whole Fang thing came to be,
It's
basically.
kind of interesting because Fang is a sequel to uh, Fang Encounter, correct? Because Fang
So,
Encounter comes first in your
right.
in your
So,
story.
so Encounter Fang is a prequel to Fang.
Okay,
I decided to kind of go backwards in the timeline. I
it's
just,
such a Star Wars move.
yeah, I just figured it'd be kind of cool because it's one location we shot at was this police station, and I was like, man, this would be really cool for like an Area 51 because like we were like in the basement and stuff, no
Hmm.
windows and whatnot. And I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool. Maybe like Elise, the vampire in
Hmm.
my Fang film, maybe she escaped Area 51 or whatever. And I was like, okay, well maybe it'd be better as like a prequel. So I went the prequel route and I did that, and yeah, I'm glad I went that way.
Hmm.
It makes for a more unique approach,
It
I guess you
has
can
a
say.
unique approach because it's not a typical like your vampire, you know, movie or whatever. It's totally different, and I like that aspect of it where it just hunts, just random. It's not necessarily like a Dracula thing where it goes after the bride, and then there's three bride. Like it's a unique spin on it. And do you think you're gonna like make and connect like a werewolf aspect where there's a werewolf in 51, or there's a alien, or there's a whole new? Are you gonna try and create like a your own like supernatural type feel
my own my
to
own
it?
kind of dark universe,
Yeah.
basically, for all you guys out there. Yeah, I mean that was kind of my idea. Once you see Encounter Fang, of course we open up basically at Area 51. But my idea was like, oh, they have a vampire there. They obviously have aliens, but my idea was like, oh, they definitely have some other creatures there, whether it be a werewolf, maybe a
Hmm.
Bigfoot or something. And who knows, maybe in the sequel or something, we'll
Hmm.
expand on that, and we'll get the werewolf popping up,
Yeah,
or so
it's
we'll find
just
creative ways to go about it. We'll see.
yeah, because there's believers and then there's the non-believers out there. And are you a are you a big believer in stuff like that, like ghosts and stuff like that?
Well, when it comes to aliens, I definitely, obviously there's the whole conspiracy of Air 51 and there are aliens there and whatnot and this and that. But I definitely think we're not alone. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so the believers out there, he, he's a believer. I'm not a believer.
it's a,
It's You'll figure it out.
you'll figure it out.
And you've been in other films. I mean, you've been all over. I mean, you're working on season 2 with me for 5 stages. You worked with Jonathan Miller. You've worked with Derek. You worked with all these other guys. There's got to be a moment where you realize, did someone give you advice when you were working on these films? Did someone like, is there a quote you remember in some films, or did someone pull you aside and say, "Hey, this is," and someone said something to you and it was memorable?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, even just beginning, I was like spin the bottle. Obviously, I had met Derek before at the convention, but even there, he was like, "Hey, like, what do you know about film and
Mhm.
stuff?" And I think I was like, "Oh, I went to film school and stuff like that." But then, even then, he was like, "Oh, you don't need to know anything about it," and just like that kind of stuck with me a little bit because, like, hey, he was so cool. He wasn't like, "Oh, you
Mhm.
got to know all this and that," He was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you could just watch what we're doing. Well, I'll give you a role," which he did, a script supervisor,
Mhm.
which was pretty cool to do. And just from the get go, from the beginning, he was so kind and just welcoming, and he was like, "Hey, you can learn
Because I
with
feel
us,
I feel like
basically."
people not like people are like, oh, you have like back in the olden days. I feel like people are like, you got to know this term. You have to know what all these things do, and I feel like that really takes away from the happiness of just taking a camera and just having fun and filming with friends, family, and just making something amazing. And I feel like you did that with Fame because it is a fun film to watch. I feel like you just took a camera and just like, you know what, I'm just going to create it and have fun with it.
Right.
And it looks for your first film, and trust me, my first five stages it didn't look, too spectacular and stuff like that. But I had fun, and I feel like that's the most important thing. Did someone tell you that you know, um, just have fun and just enjoy what you can with turning something like recording something and turning it into something great?
Yeah, I mean, well, I worked with Kirk Larson pretty closely for that one. He's like my go-to guy, and I would bring him ideas and stuff. I'm kind of what I'm writing, and yeah, I mean, with that film, I wanted to have like fun with it. I didn't want it to be like too serious. I
Yeah.
wanted to have some comedy in there, and but still kind of have the horror aspects there.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I just wanted just to have fun with it, and even with Encounter Fang here, again, I wanted to have fun with it as well, not too serious, and just when you're watching it, you're just having a good time, just laughing at the jokes. Or you're like, oh god, this person's getting killed or whatever it may
Yeah.
be. But
Right.
that was kind of my main goal with all these projects so far. It's been to just have some fun with it.
Hmm.
I'm making an indie film. It's like, hey, just
How many films have you been a part of? I feel like every time I see you on Facebook, you're at like this location, and then next week you're all the way over here. Like, how many films have you actually been a part of?
yeah, it
If
feels
just
like
you don't have to name them all, just like
right.
ballpark, because you've been a part of a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point maybe like 8 or 9 different projects, and a good chunk of them are part of this anthology, as I was mentioning, like Six Pack of Terror.
Hmm.
So I worked on Spin the Bottle, Black Voodoo. They're in post production on that one, I believe. That's all been done. It's just post production for
Hmm.
that. A different film, I Wish I Knew, with Chivi's Film Productions. And then obviously Fang, Encounter Fang here coming out
Hmm.
soon. And then obviously I'll be working on your
Yeah.
5 stages. So I'm super excited for that. Season 2, Welcome to the Game, working on
Yeah.
that post production. And yeah, I mean, it feels like a lot that I've been
Yeah.
a part of at this point. But it's great. I mean, just to help out different sets, meet different people. That's one
Hmm.
of the main things, building those connections. And just, I want to be on film sets as much as I
Yeah.
can. That's why I'm excited for
Right.
season two here. Not,
Being on the big screen is like something of a dream come true to just even if it's just a small role, like just be like, oh, there I am, there I was, and even if it's just a non-speaking part, it's always something just to be on the big screen, just to be watched by either thousands or two people.
right.
Um, are there directors or movies that you take like inspired to take from? Because I know a lot of directors, people take from Steven Spielberg and Quentin Tarantino and Christopher Nolan and all these amazing directors out there. David Lee, just all these different directors. Is there a movie or movies that inspired you, or directors that inspired you to get into it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always liked movies for as long as I can remember. But the main thing for me was watching like the behind the scenes content of movies,
Mm-hmm.
more specifically the Michael Bay Transformer films, because those Blu-rays were filled to the brim with special features. Like on the back of of Extinction, it said like over like 4 hours of special features, and I was like, well, geez. But it's one of those things where it's like I watched it all because I was like so interested in watching the behind like the visual effects or
Mm-hmm.
the explosions or just the crazy, I was like, oh my, this is like so cool. Like I want to do that. Like I want to be
Yeah.
in his shoes, with explosions, and we're filming in big cities, and considering they filmed part 3 in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually got to see them film one of the days there. like that was so awesome as a kid watching that, and watching
What
being
did you see like an explosion go off? Did you
what
see
was the
like
scene with Shia LaBeouf and Patrick Dempsey when they were fighting, and then like soon after, I think Bumblebee or Ratchet shoots like the pillar thing.
oh okay.
So it's like that moment there, and Michael Bay was there directing, and they kept us moving, right? Because they didn't want it to block like the sidewalk and stuff.
Yeah.
But going back to the special features, like just watching that, I was just being like so invested. Like the movie's great, obviously, but it's like the behind the scenes I really liked, and I was like, oh, I want to be in that director's chair.
Hmm.
That's kind of what inspired me to want to like pursue that. Cause I'm like, oh, man, that looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
um, and then for even like other directors that I like, Neil Blomkamp, who did District 9, Elysium Chappie. For most of his works, they have been like original films, and I really like his films, sci-fi films. And even like Eli Roth too, who for the most part has like original horror films and stuff. And that's kind of my main thing is
Hmm.
I want to try to make
Yeah.
original stuff and as much as I can,
Yeah.
basically. So
Everyone only has to create their own thing because I inspire from everyone, and I take here and there like any good director or amateur director always likes to take specific things from people because that's what makes that director known for. Christopher Nolan's known for those great, the actors facing away from the camera, and then there's that huge landscape. And Quentin Tarantino's known for ankle feet shots and trunk shots. He's always known for that, but he's also known for telling the story in the beginning and the end. Everyone has their way of telling a story. Do you think that in the future, are you only going to stick with sci-fi, or are you going to try and do a comedy, documentary, musical, drama, romance, action? Do you want to, or stay with your genre that you're known for?
yeah, I mean, I think for now horror, just because
Yeah.
I like this, the scariness and just all
Hmm.
the blood and just all the crazy things you can do. I mean, I definitely would like to do a sci-fi film, but I feel like with that, I want to wait till I can get like a bigger
A bigger
budget,
budget where you can
just
add,
right,
a
just to
big green
go,
screen.
crazy and just so it doesn't look cheap, I guess. And but for now, horror. I mean,
Hmm.
horror is what I really like, and I wouldn't mind being known as like the horror guy, I guess. But it's just fun doing horror.
Yeah.
There's so many different avenues and subgenres you can do, found footage horror, and there's a lot you can do. So
Hmm.
I like
Are
horror.
you the jump scare horror guy, or are you more of the paranormal horror guy, or are you just like the strict vampire horror, Nosferatu? Because there's always, like you said, there's always those different types of horror. So what is that? You want to try to do all of them, or are you going to stick with that
I think a
one
variety.
variety?
Yeah, I mean, I have a found footage like horror film that is in the works. I still have to, go back and write it, rewrite it, and change a lot of things. But I definitely want to like expand and do like a found footage film
Mm-hmm.
and maybe do a paranormal esque film. But right now it's vampires. That's kind of
If there's a number, let's say there's 5 actors you could choose from
Ooh.
to be in a horror movie, or maybe 5 probably seems a little small. Let's do 6. Let's do 7 because I feel like 7 has a good ratio of kills and jump scares. So if there's like 7 actors or even actresses that you could choose from to be in a horror, your type of horror, who would you choose?
Oh, man, that's a great question. Uh, Charlton Copley, who was in District 9, who played Wickus. I would love to work with him in general. I think he'd be great to work with. We'll throw in. I know he was recently in Knock at the Cabin, but Dave Batista.
No,
He'd be great.
yeah.
He'd be great to work with and have him be in a and have him kill vampires or whatever it may
Hmm.
be. Um, who else here? Russell Crowe. We'll throw Russell Crowe in there. I think he'd be I
Yeah,
think
right.
he'd be cool to work with, and I was just such a great talent,
Hmm.
and that's 3.
That's 3.
That is 3. Um, Another one here that I would like to work with. Let's see.
There's so many because
Yeah,
it's
it's
there are so
I
many
mean,
to
it's
put you on the. There's so many. There's Patrick Wilson and I can't remember the other actress's name at the moment. But they just do the Conjuring movies, and I think they're fantastic in those
right. Yeah, I mean
movies.
Patrick Wilson and I forget her name.
I'm
Excuse
so
me.
sorry, we forgot your name.
um,
I
but those
That's
two
horrible.
would be great. Yeah, That'd be awesome
Yeah,
to work with them. And oh my God, what's her name? She was in Long Legs. Oh my God, geez, why can't I think of the
I
name?
know who you're talking about, and I can't remember her name
The
either
main
because I just saw that movie
Micah
too.
Monroe. Micah Monroe. She'd be great to put in a vampire film here. That's like probably sick. I don't know. I like Matt Damon. We'll throw Matt Damon in there. That'd be kind of
That
interesting
is
too.
such a broad cast.
Yeah,
I
that'd
never.
be good. Let's get Matt Damon
That is a
in.
broad cast. Who knew that? See, it's just an event, and you never know because that's such a broad cast. You might not think that that might not work in a horror movie, but you might be surprised because you never think that
Right. Well,
these
it's the
actors
same
and
thing
actresses could work
with like
together.
Uncut Gems. Adam Sandler's mainly known for like comedy and stuff, but he
Yeah,
did Uncut
being
Gems,
typecast
and
as like the comedy guy,
right, then he
right?
did Uncut Gems, and everybody liked that performance. It was
Yeah.
something different. That's what you got to do, even with like Chris Rock and Spiral. He mainly known for comedy and stuff, but like, hey, he's doing this horror film, which I love, great film. But stuff like that, where
Mm.
you kind of subvert their expectations, I guess you can say.
Do you have a favorite director?
Yeah, I mean that have to go back to Neil Blomkamp.
Mm.
Just because I love all his films, even Demonic, great film. Um, but again, like for most of his films, they're original, and I would love to meet him one day, and even work on his hopefully one of his projects one day. But uh, you know, even recently with like Gran Turismo, he directed. I love that film.
Yeah,
That was great
that was a good
with the
film.
sound and stuff, and I'm just looking forward to whatever he's got next. But definitely Neil Blomkamp. Yeah, he's great.
Do you inspire to do everything in the film industry, or do you just aspire to just direct and write your own stuff? Like, do you want to, if this does have, do you want to do the camera work, be the gaffer, lighting guy, um, write and do and script and or do you just want to be the guy in the chair just directing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, well, when it came to like Fang, out of necessity, I basically kind of had to do a lot of
Yeah.
it, save money and all that stuff. And Counter Fang, I wanted to like expand my horizons, I guess, and get someone to do like lighting and stuff like that, or
Hmm.
makeup. And I guess to answer your question more, definitely directing, of course, obviously, but I think writing would be pretty cool. So that way, it's
Hmm.
like I write it; it's my vision more, entirely, unless a studio messes it up or whatever it may be. But like, you know,
Disney or Sony messes up your story or something.
but like a writer director combo would be
Mhm.
ideal. But eventually, I'll probably get to the point where like I'm just directing and someone else writes it, or whatever it may be. But
Mhm.
writing and directing, like I love to do cinematography. Like I know Zack Snyder recently has been doing cinematography for his films
Mhm.
and great cinematography. But like, uh, you know, I think directing writing combo would be
Not a big actor.
ideal. I think yeah. I mean, I kind of like what Tarantino did, where he kind of
Oh,
has cameos in his
throws himself.
films,
Yeah.
or even in Desperado. There's like one scene he was in, or a couple scenes, which was hilarious. So stuff like that would be kind of cool to do. Yeah, yeah, that'd be fun. Just like cameo here and there, or whatever it may be. Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any upcoming projects other than Five Stages Season 2 that you're excited to be a part of that we can look forward to like upcoming year or whatever
Yeah,
or
well,
years?
5 stages, of course. You said.
Hmm.
I'm really excited for that. It's gonna be awesome filming that. Check out season 1 if you haven't already. But but yeah, I mean, what I can say is like the Fang universe isn't dead. There'll definitely be more to come for sure. I don't know how many I'll do before I kind of switch. Maybe another one or two. Second one will be like the feature, whatever may
Hmm.
be. But I'll definitely do more for sure. Because it's like one of those things where it's like I did Fang, I did Encounter Fang. Let me just keep going, man. Let me just kind of build
Yeah.
this kind of universe, and then
Kind of like the CW do with like Arrow and then adding Flash.
right,
I feel
right,
like that would be cool to like Fang is like Arrow, and then you bring like a werewolf, and then it's like a Flash for universe, and you just start bringing all these like
right. Yeah, yeah. I
creatures
think,
of the dead and like and all these
yeah. I mean, I think I
things.
might do like a Kevin Smith thing with like his universe, where like you have clerks and then you have like Mallrats and stuff, but they're like in the same universe and stuff, and something like that would be kind of cool, where it's
Hmm.
like, putting all this work in for all these movies. It's like, hey, let me kind of connect them, so that way when you're watching Fang, you're like, hey, there's more to it. If you like it, they like it, whatever. Continue. There's more there for you to enjoy. So that's definitely one
Hmm.
thing. No specific release date or anything like that,
Yeah.
right? But working on that, and then a film coming out pretty soon, The Ties I Bind, part of Phil Herman's anthology, Unearthed. That'll be coming out. So actually, it's technically already out, but the Blu-rays are coming soon, but
Mm.
be on the lookout for that. Chivi's Film Productions YouTube, the Ties That Bind will be on there, so that'll be exciting to check out for people who haven't seen it. And then well, this year in the summer, Calm Dies at Midnight 2 is coming out, or filming, I should say. Feature films, that's gonna be really fun to be a part of, helping out, doing a little bit of acting on that one. Considering the first one was really good and so funny, I'm really looking forward to
Mhm.
being a part of that
Yeah.
project.
Well, I can tell you right now, Jason Diaz is not fighting any vampires or werewolves anytime soon. Thank you, Diego, for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you
Thank
so
you, thank
much.
you. Don't worry about that,
Don't worry
guys.
about that.
That
You know what? We have a lot of issues, and this is
that the
not one of the best sets that we've ever worked on. But thank you so much, Diego, for being here.
thank you,
Appreciate
thank you.
it. Guys, I'm Jake Dory from JD Entertainment. Please check out my channel and go to Diego's channel, Osorio Films Productions. Thank you so much.